Good job.
I said a thing that I was proud of, and I'm not getting the response that I wanted.
I'm unaware of the context, so
Bitches and hoes?
Bitches and boats and hoes.
Is Bitches and Hoes not a song? Have I been getting this wrong my entire life?
I don't know. Maybe I don't listen to like a lot of the hippity hops. I assume that would be a hip hop song if it's called Bitches and Hoes.
Anyway, I said stitches and bows before I hit record, and I was so excited about it, and I realized it wasn't recording.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what stitches and bows.
It's a craft song.
A craft song.
Well, it's not. This is the song that I am creating right now about arts and crafts called Stitches and Bows.
Okay. I would like to see some expansion on that.
It's a work in progress.
Okay. How would it go?
Anyway. That's our show, guys.
The end.
The end.
We're never doing this again.
Yep, because next week I'm gonna have to
murder.
I'm gonna have to write out Stitches and Bows.
I swear to God, if you actually do that, you have no idea. Like, I will buy you. I don't know. You really like money, so I could just give you money.
You could just give me money at any point, which is a good point to point out.
Give us money.
Give us money.
Hi.
Hey, you can go to anchor.fm/LWS and make a one-time donation to help us keep...
or many-time donations,
if you want to. A monthly donation.
If you love us.
In return, but
no, you get our appreciation and gratitude, and we might say your name on air.
Who knows? It's never happened before.
Nobody loves us enough. Yet. The world will love us. The world will see.
I'm just going to keep on doggy paddling along in this ocean of podcasting on the hopes that someday we're going to get noticed and have a modest following.
I mean, I've heard like people when I say like we have 100 or so followers, but not really so much listeners. Like,
yeah, we got 100.
If you're following us but not listening to us,
how are you going to hear this?
Why don't you love us?
If you're listening to us and you're not giving us money, why don't you love us?
Of the angel,
every month, millions of podcasters go hungry because podcasting makes no money unless you're super popular. For as little as $1 a month, you can support a podcaster.
Or pennies a day.
Nice callback to something we talked about off air.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, hi.
Hello.
Welcome to Let's Watch Something.
Welcome to Eric Loved a Movie and Jack Hated It.
Again, part 2. You don't love this movie.
Love is a strong word.
Love is a strong word.
You're putting a lot of pressure on me with the L word right now, and I don't feel comfortable with it. I just think that maybe we should see other movies.
I did say that love was a strong... I did also say that you did not love the movie.
Let me be proud of that.
You are proud of it. Good job. You should be proud of it. That was good. I do have to say that...
Hold up. Jack, what did we watch this week?
Okay, we need to stop.
Okay. Based off the title, we saw Tusk. Tusk was a movie by Kevin Smith. I believe it came out in 2012?
2000 and something or other.
Wow. This is all easy information to look up.
I'm not looking it up.
I kind of like this part of trying to remember things without looking them up. It starred Justin Long and Mr. Mustache.
That's my boyfriend, Mr. Mustache.
Mr. Mustache.
No, I'm not actually dating Justin Long or anything like that. I'm actually just dating his mustache. We have
awkward.
parted ways since then, but at the time we were together.
Going out to dinner, you still had to feed Justin Long.
Unfortunately, he had to tag along.
That dude can put away some fucking steak and eggs.
He was expensive, but the mustache not so much. He just kind of left. He liked leftovers more than anything. The flavor savers and all that.
Yeah, he would have the soup of the day, and Justin Long would have the salad that came with it.
The soup of the day actually lasted him quite a while because Justin Long never washed his mustache.
Yeah, gross, dirty mustache things because mustaches are gross and dirty. Twiddling my mustache.
If you could see what I have to see right now, you would probably shoot yourself in the face.
I said that this one was for you because
Mustaches.
because of the mustache.
And I've been picking on him for mustaches.
Mustaches
forever.
Ever, yes. This is
even before he had a mustache.
Yeah, this was the Justin Long mustache movie. I'm pretty sure he did a couple more mustache movies. The unofficial Justin Long mustache trilogy.
Let's look it up. Let's see. Justin Long with a mustache everywhere. I want to get a poster with Justin Long with a mustache. I honestly I'm not like the biggest fan of Justin Long nor mustaches. Facial hair in general. Well, no, good beards are good beards. But I don't like anything that's like over. If you have to like put your beard in a hair tie in order to wash your neck, that's too much.
Apparently, Justin Long hates his mustache.
I hate it too.
I can talk all day about
mustaches,
Kevin Smith,
hate for mustaches,
and my love for Kevin Smith and his works.
And his butt.
Oh, his butt. His juicy, thick with one C now.
No, oh yeah, he's no longer a thick boy. He's just...
he's not thick as a milkshake, he's thick as milk.
Ew. Hi, I don't like milk called him. I mean, I like it in cereal and that's about it. I'm lacking my lactose.
I don't drink milk.
I don't drink milk. I would like spaghetti and milk.
Now, Jack, what are some Kevin Smith movies you've seen before?
Oh my gosh, okay.
Let me get out my list.
Shut up. I've seen Dogma, which is one of my favorite movies of
Love
all
it.
time.
George Carlin, yes.
Chasing Amy was very good.
Didn't see it.
Oh, you would like it.
I've been told.
It's a good movie. J.M. Silent Bob Strike Back.
Clerks 2, Mallrats.
2, Mallrats. Yes, I've seen all of those. I've even seen Jersey Girl. Yes, and I did like it. By the way, a lot of people gave it shit. But I did like it. I don't care what other people say. It was a nice movie. I liked it. It made me cry here and there.
Kevin Smith is the pinnacle of
sexy,
and he is something that I look up to in
sexiness,
in cinema
and sexiness,
because if you look back at shit like The Godfather, that was somebody who had a story to tell. If you look at, some like prolific movies of the last 100 years, it's all these art pieces about people that had a story to tell.
A good story.
Oh, yeah, which is kind of where, the whole point of movies comes across is, it's an art form. It's telling stories. Kevin Smith is one of the rare exceptions where he is making movies because he loves movies. Mm-hmm. And it shows in his dialogue and the way that, you can say it's all derivative because all he's really doing is doing things he's seen before. What you also get is a movie that a movie lover would have made, which means that movie lovers tend to enjoy them. They're always competently made, which is something that I talk about a lot. They're always, they're always really smartly written. He is masterful with dialogue.
Yeah, I would have to say that Kevin Smith is by far, as far as writing goes, one of my favorites. Like, if I hear that Kevin Smith is involved in the writing or involved in a movie, I'm probably going to be interested in it and most likely seek it out to see it. Except for Tusk. I did not even hear of that movie.
Yeah, it kind of got swept under the rug.
Good. It kind of should have been. It should have been swept into a fucking toilet.
We have to address the walrus in the room. Walrus. Which is
fat girls. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I mean we have to address I was doing a pun on elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm. Walrus.
Because the movie Tusk originated from a podcast on Kevin Smith's podcast. I believe he just called it Smodcast. He has a whole podcast network, and on one of them,
that'd be cool if we ever got involved with that.
I would like to be a part of a network.
Somewhere.
Sometime. Someday.
If you like us.
Somewhere.
And you do a podcast.
Sombrero.
Join us. There's room for one more. Gooble gobble, we will make you one of us. Sorry.
Freaks.
Good job. I'm proud of you for that one.
It's on my list of movies that I need to see.
I've seen it.
So, fun fact about Freaks. It was praised at the time of releasing for representation of people with physical disfigurements. and its use of actors that were physically disabled. And it was awesome for that. Retroactively, in the years after it came out, people began speaking out about it as exploitation of people with disabilities.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Because
they got the actors to retroactively hate the movie that they were in, that they previously had touted for bringing light to people with disabilities, and something in the 40s or 50s or however old it is.
It's pretty old.
That was pretty groundbreaking at the time, showing people with disabilities in a movie, making them the stars, making them a prominent part of something.
But technically, they were also kind of villain-esque in it. Not necessarily like exactly. I mean, shit. It's been a long time. I've seen it when I was a kid. So all I remember is the little guy with no legs and no arms kind of rolling around with a knife in his mouth.
It would be another thing if, say, the villains were freak show people. What would you call them? Freak show attractions. People that were freak show. Yeah, thank you. People that were freak show attractions, and it was just normal people. Like you just had a woman with a beard, or if you just put makeup on a guy, that would have been appropriation, which is a whole nother level of bad. However, having them be villains, but having them represent themselves is kind of what makes it, in my view, makes it a little more acceptable.
I guess. I can't exactly guarantee. I think they kind of rise up against the... So I can't recall exactly the events in it because I had seen it so long ago. I do remember they become murderous. I don't remember why. I feel like it was because they were like rising up against their... whoever the fuck it was that was like getting their money and taking advantage of them and shit like that. So to me... maybe their murderous rampage was okay. I would approve of that if it was an uprising against their oppressor.
Yeah.
I guess that kind of falls into what's going on lately.
Yeah. Nice tangent.
Sorry.
Mind if I step in? Getting back to Tusk. The idea came from a podcast. There was a classified ad that had circled the internet. And we see almost word for word in two different parts of the movie. The first part of the letter is the letter he sees in the bar restroom about offering a room for rent. The second half of this letter was when he was talking about constructing a walrus costume. And when you wear it, you must speak as a walrus. It was a classified ad where someone was asking for help around the house, offering a place to stay. However, for several hours a day, every day, you must be dressed and act as a walrus. Obviously this was not a real thing. It was a fake thing that someone had came up with because they thought it was funny. But
I used to do that shit. Post fake ads on Craigslist.
Yeah.
Post it for weird shit.
I think it wasn't even on Craigslist. It just was a newspaper ad or something. I don't remember exactly. But hey, podcasts aren't built on accurate information.
I would like to at least remain mostly accurate, though.
Mostly accurate.
As accurate as we can get. But
as accurate as we can care to be.
As accurate as we're paid to be.
We're not paid. Over the course of several episodes of his weekly podcast with his co-hosts, they were thinking, how weird would this be as a movie? And it began as just like a comedy about being in the walrus suit. And it kind of... evolved into a horror movie of being physically mutilated and trapped. And, they, over the course of weeks, plotted out the whole story. And Kevin Smith, being a man with money, was like, hey, I'm going to make a movie.
Let's do this shit.
I think that if I could be involved in making a movie, I would totally go with it.
Even if you didn't get paid?
No, I need to get paid.
Then... what kind of passion for movies do you really have?
Watching movies. I watch movies without getting paid to do it.
Oh.
Now, from concept to creation, this movie kind of was surreal the whole time. It's absolutely absurd from start to finish. Is. And, It does have Kevin Smith's fantastic dialogue.
Yeah.
There are shots, there are static shots that go on for minutes on end between two people with very subtle underscoring. Kevin Smith, in his own words, describes it as you put the camera down and you let the actors do what they do best. And I think that it shows, and it worked really well in this movie's favor. There were a lot of wonderful moments of dramatic tension between Wallace and Howard Howe in that first act of the movie, where he's just talking to an old man, but there's something sinister about it the whole time. Mm-hmm. There's dim lighting. He's drinking tea, and he's progressively getting a little drunker off of the tea. Just a wonderful little detail. And all this time he's telling stories about, Ernest Hemingway being stranded at sea. And,
he keeps alluding to walruses, and it's really annoying.
Yeah, this man is obsessed with walruses.
If you had absolutely no concept of what you were going to be watching going into it, which, I kind of had a minimal idea. I was just kind of like, God, okay, did he fuck the walrus? Okay, I get it. Like, shit, okay.
I give this the strongest recommendation of go into it knowing absolutely nothing. It is currently on Netflix, and if you have an hour and a half to kill, it's a short movie, watch it.
It's not that great. I wouldn't even say it. I guess watch it for, entertainment value. If you're, really that bored, go for it.
We have a bit of a differing opinion here.
You love it?
Love is a strong word. I think we should see other movies. I'm going to use that every time I get. Okay?
Oh, God.
Every chance I get, I'm going to say that.
I can't even be your friend right now. I think I think our friendship needs to take a moment. I think we have to take a step back now, because that joke was just something else.
Your friend dumping me?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. That mustache is just someone's got to have control over that mustache, and it's definitely not you. So I'll take.
Let's be real. Somebody needs to take care of me.
Yeah.
I'm not a functioning adult.
He's brushing his mustache out of his mouth.
I did not put product in it today. I'd like
Stash product.
Stash product.
You should start endorsing a stash product. That's how we're gonna get that's how we're gonna do it.
This episode of Let's Watch Something is brought to you by Fisticuffs Mustache Wax.
I use it for my taint.
No, for real though. I do use a brand called Fisticuffs.
Yeah. I challenge you to a duel, sir.
What good, sir? Put up your dukes. It's be fisticuffs for you, sir. How about you? 1, 2, hop, hop, hop,
hop, hop,
hop, hop,
hop, hop, away.
I'm this movie. And I hate starting sentences with this movie.
Yes, but go.
So Tusk.
This movie.
Tusk. This movie that we just watched. Tusk. Which was Tusk that we just watched, which is
we just watched it.
Colloquially known as this movie.
The movie that we watched was this movie named Tusk.
To me, and this is me being the nerdiest of nerds, so
oh God, should I just
nerd alert.
Take a nap now or what?
Yes, please. Go right ahead.
Okay.
It could potentially. I have an argument for opening up a greater debate.
Shit.
They're having a funny dream.
No. Who put that there?
Wake up!
Oh, slut. I mean, what's up, fam? Daddy's awake.
As I was saying,
don't wake Daddy.
Tusk can be used for a philosophical argument. Philosophical argument about the merits of art and what makes good art and what makes art successful. And I think those are two very different things.
What is good art versus what is pop art?
Well, no, not even that. Not even that cynical. What is good art is as simple as art that you enjoy, music that you like, a painting that you think is neat.
Okay, but good to me versus good to you is completely different things.
Absolutely,
it's very
it is subjective. However, what I think about when I say what is successful art is something that is a little bit more objective. It is something that can be, to a degree, measured. A way to decide if something, not as if it is art, but if it is successful art. Bear with me.
Bear.
Wake up.
I'm here.
This movie, I would say, is successful because
Is it?
a part of it's not financially successful. I'm pretty sure it did horribly.
Visually successful.
Yeah, there are visual effects that look horrible.
Makes me want to bash myself in the face.
The practical effects look decent at times. However, what I believe makes art successful is its intent. What did this art want you to feel?
Feel uncomfortable most of the time.
Exactly. A movie like Tusk or like Human Centipede.
I laughed through Human Centipede, to be honest.
Which means it did not make you the way it wanted you to feel.
Mm-hmm.
Tusk, however, it he had a story to tell to a degree, but I feel like what Kevin Smith was going for was creating a sense of unease with the downfall of man. There's, this whole movie was about what makes a man, what makes people, what separates us from animals. Because we are presented with Wallace, played by
a cat.
Justin Long.
I mean, Justin Long.
And
a cat.
He is made one of the most unlikable protagonists I've ever seen with very few redeeming qualities.
He's a piece of shit.
He's the host of a podcast.
Nobody likes those people.
Ugh.
Nobody
pretentious.
likes.
They never shut up about their podcast.
They never shut up in general.
Yeah. He cheats on his girlfriend. He's made a career out of making fun of people. Just
insulting them.
Insulting them.
I mean, if this gets popular, I can make a career out of fucking insulting you, but
we'll wait until it gets popular. As soon as that first dollar rolls in, you can make fun of me all you want.
You've told me you actually had given me permission to mock your mustache relentlessly. Do you not recall this?
I did. I'm sorry.
You regret that?
A little bit.
So off topic here. I didn't want to be the third in my roommates, and we went out to eat, and I didn't want to be the third, so I made him come along with me, and I paid for the dinner, and I may or may not have been such an asshole about his mustache that even the waitress started picking on him about it.
I almost cried.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You can punch me in the face.
Making fun of the mustache for the podcast is one thing, but this was people laughing at me.
No, they weren't laughing at you. It's just my
They
jokes
were laughing
about...
with me at you.
Yeah, actually. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. No.
That's why the context was important. You do have permission to make fun of my mustache on the show.
On the show, okay.
You were being a little mean.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to be mean.
That was not your intent.
It was not my intent. That would make my art unsuccessful.
Bam! Segway. A movie like Human Centipede and Tusk, they're designed to make you uncomfortable. Horror movies are made to make you feel scared. And if you don't like horror movies because they're too scary, that means it's done its job.
I'm not scared of anything.
Bah!
That's annoying. It made me want to hit you in the face.
I jumped a little when I did that.
I'm scared of myself. It's because you saw a reflection of your clown ass shirt in the fucking TV.
Yeah.
You got a little scared of clowns.
No, I kind of want to be a clown.
I could see you being a clown. Can I paint your face like a clown?
I wanted to be a clown for Halloween.
A sad clown.
One year.
No.
But not as a scary clown, just a regular clown. And people would be scared of me because people don't like clowns, but I would be happy because I can fulfill my lifelong dream of being. So how did Tusk make you feel?
Up until the actual suit, I was pretty uncomfortable, and then when I saw the suit, I was like, oh, this is shit. Oh, that sucks. I was hoping for something a little better looking, something a little scarier. If they made, honestly,
in concept, it's pretty horrifying.
yeah, totally. Like, but like the thing of it is like,
if you've never seen the movie, look up Tusk movie.
He told me not to look it up.
Yeah, because I thought there was going to be a good
amount of pictures,
shock reaction out of it.
Yeah, I'm not shocked easily. I'm not horrified easily. If you understood what I grew up in, you would understand.
Yeah.
My dad chopped a dog's tail off in front of all of us kids. So.
Oh God.
Yep.
Moving on from that. That is a fucking bummer to think about. So yeah, you didn't have the reaction that I had, which was the first 2 acts of this movie were just pure tension. Some
suspense was in there. It was building up. It was definitely a good build up. I promise you that. Like
we would cut back and forth between Wallace in Canada talking with this man, and
the day before
after he he gets knocked out. The Howard chops his leg off, and he's on a sedative, and we go back and forth.
I assume that he's probably just like it's making it like a memory sequence or something, maybe, or like I don't know. I don't understand why they had to show that, but I mean, it's a good I guess they had a good reason to.
I feel as if the important thing was, and as I stated earlier. Wallace is an unlikable character.
Oh yeah, he's a total piece of shit.
In the flashbacks, in the memory sequences of him and his girlfriend the day before he left for Canada, we still see that he does not care about anybody or anything, which you would think makes a character unrelatable and you would not sympathize for them.
I still didn't.
It also shows that. In the end, he did have some humanity to lose. He lost his manhood, in a sense. He gave into his animalistic instincts in the end,
and stabbed a motherfucker to death with his tusks.
He gave up on being human.
I'd give up on being human too.
I want to be a bat.
Ah! Do bats make that sound?
They do now.
They do now. I would be a pterodactyl, and that's no, I'm kidding. Honestly, if you've ever seen Full Metal Alchemist, I know you haven't, but if the listener has seen Full Metal Alchemist, I would love to be Dog Girl. So for those of you who don't know what Dog Girl is, it's a 5-year-old girl who her father was a scientist, and he created a chimera of the dog that they had and the little girl. So basically, like, the dog was like a child talking dog, like a talking dog that spoke like a child, and they basically put it out of its misery. Oh, you're crying. You're about to cry. You would actually probably cry at that scene, but I'm sitting here thinking, like, why wouldn't you want to be a talking dog?
I feel like giving into becoming something else is the theme of the movie to a degree. Losing your sense of being a person, losing your what's the word? Like
humanity?
Losing your humanity to a degree.
That's my drag king name. Humanity.
Losing your humanity.
Where did he go?
Where'd he go? While Wallace's character at first was irredeemable,
yeah,
it seeing a good person fall is too easy.
Well,
like if it had been a nice person that this happened to,
like
he would have come out saying, doing his best to say, "Get me the hell out of this thing so I can go home." But if it were somebody who didn't care about anything, then him giving into those animal rages made a little more sense.
Animalistic urges.
The urge to kill.
The urge to fuck.
I like to eat.
I like
to have children.
Oh,
This is what a human sounds like.
So many babies. Fucking power thirst.
They're turning the freaking frogs gay.
Oh, I want gay frogs.
Gay frogs sounds amazing.
Yeah.
You know what? The dancing frog from Looney Tunes?
Michigan J Frog?
Gay frog.
Absolutely.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, my red.
Uh-huh.
Tusk is pretty good.
No, it's absolute garbage.
As a horror movie, it's definitely one of the best written ones.
It's a good story.
I've said this before, and to plug a friend of mine who has way more followers than I do, another movie podcast called Reagan's Rants and Raves, hosted by my old friend Alec. They discuss horror movies on their podcast, and they talked about Tusk, sometime last fall. And they ask for listener responses about what you think about it. And I wrote in discussing how I felt about the movie Tusk. And I said basically what I've said here in a longer form and a much more thought out way than a Facebook message could, which was it solidified the way I view art, the difference between good art and successful art. What makes something successful as art is something that makes you feel a specific way. Some art just wants to incite an emotion. Some art wants to incite a specific emotion. And telling a story is secondary to that, in my opinion. And I feel like Tusk absolutely gets that emotion across. For me personally, I know that Jack over there, they thought it was goofy as hell.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, the story and the leading up to the actual, like, transformation part where he became the walrus. You become the walrus.
Cuckoo.
Yeah. Shit. What was I saying? Yeah, okay. So
up until
that, the suspense that was building was good. The story that was written was good. The
dialogue was good.
The dialogue was, I'm pretending like I'm holding a report, like I'm giving a report.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Thank you for listening to my book report on Tusk.
Thank you. And
Jack, 2nd grade.
So my first grade teacher actually gave me shit how I read out loud. Because when I would read, I would nod my head along to every word as I was reading.
Shitty teachers get really angry about the weirdest things.
She took my report from me and told me I needed to stop doing that. And I didn't understand why. Because I was like, I'm reading it out loud for you. Like, why do you need me to... Like, I'm not fighting you about it. Just because I'm not reading out loud the way you want me to doesn't mean I'm not doing it. And I was fluent. I was fluid, and I was just nodding my head along to each word. And I read like this. When I would read, I would bop my head along and do this, like it to each word.
You were imagining the little bouncy ball on a sing-along.
Yes, exactly. Sorry, like no one else understood that. Because, like, I have trouble reading, so I have to...
Yeah, it helps you visualize it.
Yeah, I'm not a...
You're a visual learner.
Yeah.
You have to visualize the words in a specific way in order to be able to get the information through your brain holes.
And I have to, like, when I'm reading, and in order for me to, like, really retain the information, I have to actually, like, hear it. So, like, I'll whisper like when we would do silent reading, I would whisper it to myself, and people would tell me...
Did you guys have the weird fucking PVC tubes? We would have like silent reading corners. There'd be a beanbag chair with some books on a bookshelf, or you could just get something from the library. And they had these little telephone-shaped pieces of PVC so that you could whisper into it and you would hear yourself.
No, we didn't have that. I just whispered it to myself. But we did have the little reading corner. Anyway.
How did we forget Johnny Depp?
I thought it was Matthew McConaughey at first because of the bad French accent.
Or good French accent?
It was absolutely
French
terrible.
Canadian accent.
Still, no. They don't sound like that
I don't know. I've never been there. Johnny Depp shows up in this movie, uncredited, of course.
As Guy Lapointe.
Guy. It's pronounced Guy, but it's spelled Guy.
Every time
I
get a call, and like I work at a call center Monday through Friday. You can find me there. Kill me if you want. I don't care. Anyway, every time I get a call for a guy named like spelled G-Y, I ask for Guy, because one time I asked for Guy, and the guy on the phone yelled at me, "It is Guy!" And I'm like, "What? I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that." And he's like, "It is Guy!" And he hung up on me, and I'm like, "That's okay."
I had a friend named Guy LaRue.
Guy McDude.
Who was stabbed by his brother at a baby shower.
Is he alive?
No.
Did he die at that point, or did he die later?
He died a couple hours later.
Oh, wow.
We didn't talk a lot after high school, but this was my first experience with a friend dying, and it messed me up. You know, even though I didn't have his phone number. We were friends on Facebook. I barely talked to him. He picked on me, but I could tell that it was a brotherly kind of picking on, because it wasn't.
It wasn't ruthless.
Yeah,
probably.
He did it. He was a nice guy. He was pretty funny. He was big. He was like 6 feet tall. He was. I
like that. That's big to you.
It's big here.
It's big to you because you're a little buddy.
A little fucker. That's what you call a callback.
Short little fucker.
Yeah, so Guy was stabbed, and I hadn't talked to him in years, but, what do you do with that information? It's rough. Sorry to bring it down.
That's okay. I can relate, but my stories...
happened to you.
My stories happened to me.
Yeah, which is...
a lot of things have happened to me. You don't want to go through that.
No. We got 10 hours of tape left.
I was going to say... my first friend that ever passed away I was 10 years old, and he got hit by a car. He was my best friend for a while. I recently, in the past maybe 5 years or so, I looked to see if there was his parents or anything on Facebook, and his mom made a Facebook memorial for him.
Oh.
Yeah, so I messaged it, pretending I was he was still him. Because it just made me feel better.
Yeah.
And his mom messaged me back saying that, because she remembered me, because I was his only fat redheaded friend that would come over every day after school and ride bikes, and he killed a possum for me. We were out, okay, we weren't supposed to. We rode our bikes out to this trail that we're not supposed to go to because it was past the railroad tracks. Because the older kids would party out there, and they would do bonfires, and there would be alcohol and drinks, and when we rode our bikes out there, there was van seats and a mattress and beer cans and bottles everywhere.
That's where it's happening.
And cigarettes and everything, just I don't know. There wasn't anything worse than that because it was a small town, so there wasn't But yeah, no, we were out there, and this possum must have been injured or something, but it was coming at me, kind of limping or and it was it looked like it was ready to bite me. And he comes up, rides his bike in front of me, and somehow, I don't know where the fuck he got the hammer, but he got a hammer and smashed it and protected me from it.
That's far more wholesome than I had anticipated. I thought it was killed a possum in a serial killer-y kind of way.
No. He was a good kid. He was a really good kid.
Gotcha.
His older brother, on the other hand, was fucked up. He was a little neo-Nazi.
Oof.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I know.
Gross.
Well, let's not get into all that.
Let's not
stuff.
get into the not-see party. Spelled Notsee. Not the hate kind. Burp. I didn't silence my cell phone.
Really?
Anywho's, it's Johnny Depp's in this movie. Haley Joel Osment's in this movie.
I see
Justin
dead
Long
people.
has a mustache. Old guy. The old guy playing Howard Howe is incredible.
Yeah, he scares me a little bit.
I feel like this movie would have been better as a short film.
Yeah.
Like an hour tops, where it focused more on Wallace and Howard chatting, and after he became a walrus, and a couple of scenes into that, it just ended there with him being a walrus instead of having to tack on a resolution, which is kind of what it felt like they did.
Yeah, they kind of just like, they're like, okay, what do we do now?
Let's have Johnny Depp and the two Americans with guns bust into the mansion. And it was, there was a couple of funny actiony shots. They, going around pointing guns around corners, down staircases. It was funny, but like it didn't service anything really. It only just was there for Wallace to be discovered.
Yeah.
Because if he had just, spoilers, killed the old man and was trapped there as a walrus, it would have been essentially the same ending of him accepting his life as a monster. However, they wanted to tag on some sort of resolution of the people that care about him loved him unconditionally, regardless of what happened to him.
Which I don't understand why. He was a piece of shit.
The people that you care about them unconditionally. I have people in my life that have, wronged me. They've like not been the best people to me, but I still consider them
relentlessly
friends.
Pick on your mustache.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like the character of a person does not stop you from caring about them because you know that they're still a person. If they're a friend and if they've, according to the movie, he changed to become that. There was the old Wallace and the new Wallace. Old Wallace had a heart and wasn't funny or successful. New Wallace made $100,000 on ad revenue and was a jerk to everybody and didn't care about anything. But that old Wallace was still in there somewhere. And his girlfriend and his friends saw that heart still in him and were willing to fight for it, which is what gives that shred of humanity left.
They were the humans, not him. He was an animal the whole time because he was a piece of shit and I hated him.
During the Castaway episode, I talked about Wilson being his will to live, the package being his piece of humanity that he hoped to someday return to. This movie lacks any of that symbolism. It has images and symbols that it uses as a motif. And this is kind of why I say he's a movie lover making movies and not so much a film artisan making movies. The big gulp cup that constantly pops up was a wonderful detail. It serves nothing to the character or the plot. The constant imagery and references to walruses that the old man makes, it makes sense for his character, but it doesn't give a deeper meaning to his desire to create a walrus.
I don't get. I'm just like, if he didn't fuck it, why was he so obsessed with it?
And we see in the flashbacks, the black and white flashbacks, which I think are the worst part of the movie. The black and white ones, at least.
Yeah, it's whatever.
It's whatever.
I wasn't a fan of this movie. So.
He was stranded on the island with a walrus that he named Mr. Tusk, and he killed and ate it for food as he was about to be rescued. So he regrets killing his one friend on that rock, and he wanted to give his friend a fighting chance, which is why he has been constructing the walrus.
I guess that's the obsession.
Yeah, that was his purpose for creating this walrus. That's the why that he did it for. It doesn't make any sense. It is not at all relatable or sympathetical. Is that a word? Sympathical?
No, let's keep trying.
Relatable? It's
just
not
stick with relatable.
It's not relatable. And you can't you can always see in a good story the villain's point of view has a point. Mm-hmm. There's always something to be said. Like the Joker,
I literally saw your brain fart.
Yeah.
Your mouth dropped open like a sphincter.
The Joker was right. Thanos did nothing wrong. There's always that idea that the villain is doing something for a purpose, and in their point of view, they are the hero of their story. You cannot say that about Howard Howe. which is what makes him flawed as a character, and which is why this movie kind of does not really push up to that level of, you know.
It could have been like if he was more relatable as a character, I think that like this could have pushed me to like it better. But he was just fucking this batshit crazy old man who I assumed wanted to fuck a person in a walrus suit.
Right, and it was mostly Kevin Smith's masterful writing that made him a captivating character. And once his motives came out, his character lost all appeal.
Mm-hmm.
You no longer saw this interesting person,
old man with a great life who had stories up the ass to tell.
Right. You start to question all of that, which is interesting in itself. That, you know, you start to question whether he was telling the truth the whole time. Was he in World War II? Did he know Ernest Hemingway? How much of his stories were true? However, the drive to create the monster is purely, it's purely for the plot. Mm-hmm. It's because this movie had a concept that it wanted to execute, and Kevin Smith, as amazing as a writer he is, as amazing as of a writer as he is, as much as I praise a lot of his work, his writing did not carry that character into that horrific, dark place, because the most fascinating moments were Howard Howe talking about his life.
Yeah.
He would, you know, every moment of him telling stories was captivating and unsettling. It was masterful. It was great. That actor, whatever his name is.
We don't remember because we looked it up because I was like, is that guy Rip Torn? And then I was like, oh no, he kind of looks like Bryan Cranston a little bit, but I don't remember his name. Oh well.
Yeah, it's not important, but you know, I mean, I can't say it's not important because he recently passed away.
Oh no.
Yeah, this was one of his last movies.
Oh, won't.
Now, we've discussed this movie's merits, its faults. I feel like it's a pretty good movie. How many Jack snacks do you give Tusk?
Honestly, I hated it. I liked...
I feel like that's on par with your Cats review.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say I liked it up until the transformation. And I'm stammering like you.
No, you're fine.
Okay. I liked it up until the transformation point where he was like if it was better, if it played out better, if it looked better, if they made that part better, I might have liked it better. I'll give it a 2.
You give it a 2?
Yeah, a serious answer, I'll give it a 2.
I agree that Tusk is not perfect, and it is not for everybody. I would say that successful art or not, a movie has to broadly appeal to people. When it comes to recommending a movie,
don't recommend this
to people, you have to know their tastes. And to the general public, I would not give this a recommendation. To fans of Kevin Smith, I'd give this a soft recommendation. To fans of horror movies, I give this a very strong recommendation.
Not even. Like, okay, so if you just like weird fucking movies, if you like weird movies that make you go, huh, what the fuck was that? This is something I could see you like enjoying if that's something that you like. It's just like weird, like, why did they have to make this kind of movie?
Yeah, I strongly agree that the third act is weak, really weak. The first 2 acts are incredible. Third act, it falls apart. And I think for that, it's only fair to give this movie 3 gummy worms out of 5.
Gummy worms are delicious. You're ruining gummy worms by doing that.
That's because I like gummy worms, and I want to err on the positive side, because while it's not perfect, I thoroughly enjoy this movie. Whether or not I think it's good is different.
If I enjoyed it, like, okay, if I enjoy a movie, it's a good, I find it to be a good movie. And then, I mean, I enjoyed it up until a certain point. And,
yeah.
Like, but at the same time, I was still mildly interested. I wasn't like invested.
It's also can an ending ruin a movie?
Yes.
I think that you found your answer.
This absolutely ruined the whole movie for me. The ending was just absolute shit, and I was just disappointed.
But does it make you not like the first half?
It made me angry at the first half and the second half.
Sat through it.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm like, this buildup was for nothing.
Gotta admit, as much as we've talked about how much we love Kevin Smith and his work.
I love Kevin Smith, and when he was chubby, I would fuck him.
There are 2 movies in my life that I was unable to finish. One of those was a Kevin Smith movie, and that was Jay and Silent Bob's super groovy cartoon movie. It was terrible.
Well, first off, the name should have told you something.
As the movie was coming out, I was listening to Kevin Smith's podcasts.
Uh-huh.
I listened to Jay and Silent Bob Get Old. I listened to
Get
Fat
Old.
Man on Batman. Which is now titled Fat Man Beyond. And as he discussed the making of Jay and Silent Bob's super groovy cartoon movie, which was directed by Jason Mewes, I was so excited. And it wasn't being released theatrically. He went on a tour and screened it and did a Q&A afterwards and did a live podcast afterwards. And if you've ever listened to a Kevin Smith podcast or a Kevin Smith interview, he won't shut up. There are Q&A sessions where one guy asks a question and Kevin talks for an hour and they have to cut it. They have to cut the show because he started answering a question and just rambled forever. It's hilarious. The second movie I was unable to finish was a little movie called Meet the Spartans. I would say Meet the Spartans is worse than Jay and Silent Bob's
any of those movies.
But oh my god, is it bad?
I hate parody movies. Okay, there are some parody movies that do it well. Like, for example, Mel Brooks. When he parodies movies.
Oh, Mel Brooks is amazing. I need to show you High Anxiety. I believe I've even told you about this one. It's his Alfred Hitchcock parody movie. And there's a famous story, or at least a story I heard Mel Brooks tell on a documentary once called Make a Noise. Why can't I remember things this well when we're talking about a movie I saw 20 minutes ago?
Make a noise.
Mel Brooks made this movie, had the blessing of Alfred Hitchcock to directly parody shot-for-shot things because, when you're doing something like that, if you don't have an artist's permission, sometimes they feel like they're being ripped off. That's what Weird Al gets permission, even though he doesn't legally need to.
Yeah.
Mel Brooks spoke with Alfred Hitchcock and said, hey, I'm doing this. It's going to be in your style, but it's going to be a comedy, making fun of your movies. And Alfred Hitchcock was like, yeah. And
basically he's the Weird Al of movies.
Well, kind of. Not anymore. Not anymore. He doesn't really do much these days.
Well, he was
screening High Anxiety. Mm-hmm. He was watching a movie. He's watching his movie. This is like his second movie he's ever made. Mm-hmm. Second or third, like one of his earliest movies. And he's listening to the entire crowd laughing. And Alfred Hitchcock is sitting in the row behind him, about 4 or 5 seats to the left. And he's constantly like looking out the side of his eye to see what he's thinking. And he remembers one particular moment. And the entire time he's been so tense because he wants not just it to be popular or liked, he wants Alfred Hitchcock himself to think it's funny. There was a joke in the movie that got a big laugh and then followed by a joke that got kind of an laugh. And about a beat after the crowd laughter had died down, he heard something. And it was a it's good. And he said that was the pinnacle of his career at the time.
That's cute.
So Jack,
yeah,
let's watch something. I don't know if we have to say it at the same time.
Well, we can watch something and then let's watch something. So let's watch something. I don't know. Do you want to watch something?
Yeah, let's watch something.
Fuck.
Go credit music. Let's